Tickets.com for BYB5. Saturday, May 15th. Doors open at 6 p.m. BYB is proudly sponsored by BMCHam.com. Your choice for gold and silver. BMCHam.com.
When you're tired of watching the sun damage your furniture or raise your electric bill, it's time to do what we did here at OnSideRadio.com studio. Call a Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie and Sunrise. A Shade Above Window Fashions has a great selection of blackout shades to choose from. We can almost create a complete blackout for your bedroom or media room. Call them at 954-434-4774. That's 954-434-4774. Love the space you live in. A Shade Above Window Fashion.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant, then you need to get to Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach. Brats, Wiener Schnitzel, homemade potato pancakes, pretzels with mustard, and lots of German beer. And with daily specials, there is something for everyone. If you're up for a challenge, you should take their famous boot tour. Finish 30 boots of different varieties of German beer, and you'll receive half price on their beer for life. And you'll get to take home your own boot and Checkers Old Munchin t-shirt. They also have outdoor seating available in their new beer garden with live music, as well as carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery. So, for the finest German food and beer, get over to 2209 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Checkers Old Munchin Restaurant, or call them for reservations at 954-785-7565. That's 954-785-7565. We'll see you at Zagat-rated Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach.
It's time for the show dedicated to combat sports. From the UFC to boxing to bare-knuckle brawling, Alex Donno provides combat sports fans the insight and interviews they crave. Let's tighten those gloves and brace for the broadcast that brawls. Fight Night with Alex Donno exclusively at OnSideRadio.com.
Yes! It is. It is Fight Night! Finally here on OnSideRadio.com with you for the next 2 hours. I'm so pleased to be joined here by James Walker, who's going to be a big part of this show.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you guys may remember James. Like you're a very well-known name among South Florida sports fans. You covered the Miami Dolphins. You were the Miami Dolphins reporter for ESPN for many years. People may not know about you that you have a passion for combat sports. In fact, when I first met you, James, before I even realized you were the Dolphins beat guy, we met at a UFC event like back in 2012 or 2013 down in Sunrise, and I realized, wow, the ESPN Dolphins guy loves mixed martial arts and boxing. So you've had a passion for fights for many years.
You're exactly right, Alex, and I'm so glad to be here. So glad to get this thing started, and it's something that you and I had talked about privately, and I guess now we could talk about it publicly. There's not enough good MMA radio content out there.
Yeah.
You know, pre-fight, leading up to the fight, after the fight, all these things, you know, for MMA fans like myself and you and tons of others, there's really not many places for them to go. And South Florida is a big hub for MMA, at least on the training aspect of it. You have you have ATT, you have MMA Masters, you have all these big gyms, all these champions, former champions, current champions, future champions that train here, come out of here. But there's really not a lot of MMA content when it comes to on the radio side. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to be a huge part of it. Happy to be with you, because we've been talking about MMA for almost a decade.
Almost a decade.
Almost a decade now. I mean, we'd be at Dolphins camp saying, "Hey, man, did you see Anderson Silva get knocked out on Saturday?" You know, and it's like football going on right in front of us. We're like the only two, MMA people talking about that. But yeah, I'm so glad to be here, man. Excited to get started. It's a great MMA world out there, and we'll chop it up, man. It's just the beginning.
And we're going to mix it up so much. I mean, whether it be mixed martial arts, boxing, backyard bare-knuckle brawling, we're going to have all of that for you in this episode alone. So in the 8 o'clock hour, 8:20, we're going to talk with Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme. And BYB Extreme have become a great partner for us here at Onside Radio. I'm really pumped for their event coming up May 15th. They're going to be at Tamiami Park at the Miami-Dade County Fairgrounds, which is perfect. I've actually seen a few combat sports events there, James, and it looks really good when they set up the ring or the cage outside. I went to a pro wrestling event there many years ago, and I went to a boxing event on these grounds years ago. It's actually a really good venue for fights. And so I'm looking forward to talking about BYB Extreme and really to educate people more on bare knuckle brawling, because one of the misconceptions I think people have is when they hear about bare knuckle boxing or bare knuckle brawling, one of the first images that people get is, oh, this must be like extra brutal. Not really, because something people don't necessarily realize until you think about it is when you're fighting with gloves on, you're at a lot more risk of concussion.
Yep.
Right? Because when you take the gloves off and you're fighting bare knuckle, if you've ever punched somebody in the head before, it's not a pleasant thing, right? So you've got to be a lot more mindful of breaking your hand and breaking your knuckles when you're not wearing gloves. So you're actually getting less of an impact from the punches, because if you go 100% the way you would if you're in MMA gloves, or especially if you're in boxing gloves, which are even considerably thicker than MMA gloves, you're really headhunting, whereas in bare knuckle brawling you can't do that so much.
That's a perfect point, because just to break it down in layman's terms with football, I remember having an NFL coach explain to me, I asked him, I said, how can you fix the concussion issue in the NFL? And he said, the league will never do this, but this is an interesting thought. Why don't you take away the helmets?
So true.
And I was like, it was the first time he had said that to me. I'm like, wow, that's an interesting thought, because if you take away the helmets, you don't have a lot of the targeting and attacking with the hard helmet that they have, because if you just have your bare head and your bare face available, you have less concussions. And he's absolutely right. And that made me think about, if you take off the gloves, you're not going to throw that punch 100%, just like in football. Just to break it down in football terms for a lot of the audience out there, if you take away helmets in football, you're not going to have people leading with their head nearly as much. So that's an interesting concept that made me think of that. So good point on that.
Yeah, so it's like more of a pure form of fighting, and BYB Extreme does a nice job. They have this really cool ring. It's the Trigon cage, and it's more confrontational. Like there's less angles to cut off, and it really forces more action. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. We're going to talk plenty of MMA. We're going to have 9-time UFC veteran and big-time MMA coach to the stars, Dean Thomas, very good friend of mine going back many years, is going to join us at 7:35 tonight. So Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme will be at 8:20. Dean Thomas will join us at 7:35. At 7:20, we're going to talk to a really bad prize fighter, like a bad dude. I don't mean bad like not good. I mean a bad mother bleeper. Brandon Figueroa is going to join us later on this hour in about 12 minutes. This guy is the WBA Super Bantamweight champion, and he's trying to collect another belt. Also May 15th. May 15th is a huge day for fights. He's going to be fighting for the WBC Super Bantamweight title against Luis Neri on May 15th. And he's unbeaten as Figueroa. Never lost before. He's got one draw on his record. He's got 16 knockout wins in 21 fights. So 20 victories, one draw. I can't wait to chat with him later this hour. And, as we kick off this show, James, you and I, like you said, we've been talking fights, you and me, for almost a decade. It's just amazing how much combat sports has evolved in recent years. And I'm not sure if I like all of it, right? Because there's a lot more of a premium now on going viral, being a loudmouth. I mean, we see people like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, somehow becoming boxing stars with these guys, And actually, I'll give Jake Paul some credit. He's got some skills, right?
Yeah.
If he had actually, instead of making his millions of dollars, on his webcam, like if he had really focused full time to boxing training. This guy's got some athleticism and he's got some technique. Logan Paul not quite as good as Jake Paul, and Logan is the one who gets to fight Floyd Mayweather, right? And so we're getting all these like celebrity fights and all these crossover fights. But it's amazing how combat sports, especially when you talk about the evolution of mixed martial arts, because boxing has been a major sport for over 100 years, right? Yep. Mixed martial arts is a lot newer. If you trace it back to UFC 1 in 1994, it's a lot newer of a sport. And like I go back to when I started following it, James. I don't know if it was the same for you. Like when the UFC first started, and I was a kid, like I dabbled a little bit in it. I watched some of the old Ken Shamrock fights and Hoist Gracie, but I never really got into it. When I really started to get into it was around 2003.
Okay.
And I remember going to into Blockbuster Video. And you would have in the back aisle where they had all the weird stuff, like the special interest section.
The blood and guts section.
Yeah, and people would tell me, some of my college buddies would tell me, you've got to watch Pride FC. So, because
Wow.
I don't even know, like, maybe like Fox Sports sometimes, like, you couldn't really watch Pride that much on American TV. I think they had a TV deal, but I never caught it when it was on. But I would go to Blockbuster in like 03 and 04, and I would rent the old Pride fights. And I really fell in love with Fedor, Vanderlei Silva, Shogun Rua. Those were some of my favorites. I mean, not one of my favorite guys necessarily, but I loved Rampage Jackson, knocking out Ricardo Arona when he was in that triangle
yeah.
choke, and he picked him up and he dropped him on his head. But the weird thing about it back then, James, was when people were asking me like what sports I was into, and I would try to explain, and obviously after Pride I started getting more into the UFC as well, but for like a couple years I was all about Pride. But I would try to explain like what the sport was that I was into, like it felt like I was explaining to people like what kind of porn I watched. Like it was always really awkward. And then over, the 15 or so years since then, the 20 years since then, it's become something you can explain to anybody. Oh, I watched the UFC, and everyone knows what you're talking about.
They've done a great job of marketing. I think that's really been the difference in the sports. And that's interesting. I didn't know that story, that you actually got into Pride mostly first before UFC, because most people like myself got into the early UFC fights either through VCR tapes and things like that. I was late to Pride. I kind of got into Pride once the UFC made the acquisition of Pride. What was that, about 2007?
2007, yeah.
2007 or so. And I'm like, okay, who is this Rampage Jackson? Let me look back at his old Pride fights. Who is Vanderlei Silva? Let me look back at his old Pride fights. So I kind of got in through the back door, with Pride, and then then I saw the pageantry and all the crazy Pride lady that did the introductions.
Oh, dude, I love her. I've interviewed her before. And
really?
She's I mean, it's like Lenny Hart is her name. To set up an interview with her, she's originally she's an American woman, but she's been living in Tokyo for like 20 years.
Wow.
And so you've got to get her on Skype, and you've got to find a time where it's like a reasonable hour here and a reasonable hour in Tokyo.
Wow.
But she is a sweet, sweet woman.
We should try to get her on the show.
We should try to get her on the show.
That's interesting, because she's kind of cult famous, like in the MMA
Yeah.
community. Everybody knows they call the crazy Pride lady, or the Pride introduction lady. But she was phenomenal. I mean, she just added to the pageantry of the fights. But yeah, that's very interesting. So you mentioned the point of you're not sure you like where things are going now in the sport. So I kind of got the point that you're saying you were a traditionalist.
Yeah.
You got in early UFC,
Yep.
early Pride, and now you don't really like some of the things that are going on. Besides the Logan Paul stuff, strictly on the MMA side, what particularly are you speaking about?
Oh man, it's just like I feel like to be well known, you have to be Conor McGregor. It's like I don't understand why we can't have appreciation for for guys who dominate other divisions. It's like I don't. It's one of the things, and I know that there's certainly a place in the sport for trash talk, and actually I enjoy the way that Conor carries himself. I get kind of annoyed, like for example, and I'm not throwing him under the bus because who am I to say what you should be a fan of? Like our guy Toast, who does Toasted Sports in the Morning. I've heard him talk about big fights before, and he'll even say like, hey, if Conor McGregor's not fighting, I'm not interested. Like that's really the only guy I care about watching. And before McGregor, I only cared about watching Ronda Rousey or Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar wasn't much of a trash talker, but he was so famous from all the WWE stuff. So I don't know. I just wish people would have more appreciation for the actual fights instead of just saying, hey, it's only a big fight when McGregor is fighting.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be tiers of fans, right? And it's really up to the UFC to convince the casuals to be more regulars. And you can't really blame the fighters all that much. I think it's a chicken and egg thing. I think the fighters are following the flow of fandom, basically, and what makes them popular, what makes them more money. If trash talking and making a spectacle of themselves didn't make the money, I think you would have a lot less fighters doing that. I think it's not really a natural thing to do for most of fighters, especially those that are growing up in mixed martial arts and the respect aspect of it. So I think it's more of a chicken and egg thing where I don't blame the fighters as much. I really think that they're just trying to make as much money as they can.
Oh, you're right.
Get as much attention as they can, sell as many fights as they can under the current situation. I blame the fans more than anything. I mean, look, We're more hardcore as far as, look, we can appreciate the Michael Chandler versus the Charles Oliveira fight. Most people were probably going to buy the fight for the Nate Diaz fight, because that's more of a, and we'll talk about that a little later.
Let's move to the next pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah. So, I blame the fans more than anything with that, not necessarily the fighters, but yeah, I mean, do you need every fighter? Do you need Kevin Holland? And not to call people out, but every single fighter on the roster trying to make a spectacle of themselves? No, not necessarily, but I think it's just more the current climate, and maybe that'll change. Everything is cyclical. Maybe things will eventually go back, in 5 years to just kind of appreciating the best fighters who win make the most money as opposed to the ones that talk the best. Something
that I do appreciate about mixed martial arts compared to boxing is like the records don't matter as much.
Yeah,
it's more important to put on a show. Because one thing about like boxing, you handpicked opponents, and if you don't start your career 20-0, you're a nobody, right? So that's something I appreciate. But when we come back, we're going to talk to a really successful professional boxer, Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreaker, is going to join us next. This is the inaugural episode of Fight Night here on the only locally owned sports station in South Florida. We are OnSideRadio.com.
Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty, to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
When you're looking for curtains and blinds to create a space of your own, look no further than Bandalux. Bandalux can tailor your space to your needs. Create the atmosphere and ambiance you desire. We invite you to discover it at Bandalux.com. Explore our new solar control systems, range of sustainable fabrics, and energy-efficient solutions that can improve your well-being and quality of life. Witness Bandalux Beauty. Go to Bandalux.com or follow them on Instagram at Bandalux_official. For a personal experience, A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie and Sunrise is an official Bandalux partner.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
Fight Night continues with Alex Dano. To touch gloves, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Let's return to the show combat fans can't live without. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports. OnSideRadio.com. Here's Alex Dono.
Yeah, hey, on May 15th, main eventing on Showtime, Brandon the Heartbreaker Figueroa. He's already the WBA Super Bantamweight champion, and he's going for the WBC Super Bantamweight title. And a little over a week out from the fight, Brandon is nice enough to join us here. Man, how's it going, Brandon? How's the training and everything? We're 9 days away now from the fight. How you feeling, sir?
I feel amazing. You know, a couple of days away, closing camp tomorrow, and yeah, I'm in great shape, ready to go, and I just can't wait for May 15th.
Brandon, one fight in 18 months. I looked at your record. How do you stay sharp in the gym without as much ring time in the last year and a half?
You know, just consistency. You know, thank goodness that I have a gym of my own, a private gym over there where I live in Westbrook. I'm currently over here in Indio, California, training with Joe Diaz. But, you know, yeah, just staying consistent. I know through COVID, it was really hard to get workouts in or try to move around in any way. Who knew when I would fight? But yeah, I mean, I would go to my gym, my private gym. It was like 5 minutes away from where I live. And yeah, just staying in shape, staying ready, and just staying hungry, I guess. You know, I love the sport so much, and I'm dedicated. And, you know, it's all about consistency at the end of the day. And that's why I stayed in shape.
You know, you fought one time since COVID started. How much different is it? I mean, not only the training, but the actual fight itself, because I'm sure prior to COVID, you're accustomed to fighting in full arenas with 20,000 cheering fans. How much different is it to fight without all that?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel a little off. You know, you get used to the atmosphere, the fans, the crowd, the boos and ahs. But I mean, yeah, it does take away a lot from boxing. You know, I feel like fans and the atmosphere and the arenas are what make boxing. But you know, we had to do what we had to do. You know, was just fight without people. You know, boxers' best abilities is to adapt. You know, you got to adapt in the ring, you got to adapt to your opponent, and you got to adapt to your circumstances. And you know, that's what we definitely did. I know it was kind of, you know, off to fight without fans, but you know, now we're here a couple months later, and we're gonna fight and I guess, you know, full venues, you know, soon to be. But as right now, you know, as a boxer, you just gotta always stay ready and just always adapt to what's at hand.
Speaking of your opponent, Luis Nery, fellow champion, undefeated. Give us a breakdown of what you've seen from him on tape. What do you expect in the ring?
Yes, you know, he's a great fighter, a great Mexican warrior as well. He comes forward. I know in his last fight he was boxing a little bit, trying to be a little bit crafty. But you know, I'm a longer 5'9", full-grown 122-pounder. So it's going to be interesting how he's going to react to my power, to my pressure, and to my volume of punches. You know, but overall, I know it's going to be a great fight. I know he comes to fight just like me, and that's what I wanted. You know, I wanted these type of fights that fighters come to fight. I know usually fighters come and as soon as they get hit, they go into survival mode when they get hit by me. But I know he's gonna want to bang in there, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it, and I'm ready.
And speaking of power, you got it, man. I mean, 16 knockouts in 21 career fights. Do you feel like power, is that something that can be taught, or are you just a naturally powerful fighter?
I just feel like it's genetic. You know, I'm a natural, you know, hard-hitting fighter. But definitely, you know, you can work on increasing your power punches so much. But at the end of the day, you know, sometimes it's just something you're born with. But apart from that, you know, it's just the talent you have. But at the end of the day, I mean, talent isn't nothing without hard work. And that's why I'm always in the gym, staying ready. And, you know, my conditioning is always one of the things that is a key factor in my style, my volume of punches as well. And I feel like that's going to be a great contribution on this team.
We're joined here by Brandon the Heartbreaker Figueroa, the WBA Super Bantamweight champion. So the Heartbreaker nickname, obviously you're a good-looking dude. I don't question that. But who gave you the nickname? Where did that come from?
That actually came from when I was, like, I think 7 or 6 years old, when I would fight in in Mexico, you know, I fought in Rio Bravo, which was a border town of Wexico, where I live. And me and my older brother would always go fight their amateurs, and it was easier to get fights there. And not only that, but you know, I feel like the competition in Mexico was just so much better, and you would just get a lot of work rate out of fighting in Mexico. You know, you would fight on a more consistent basis. And yeah, you know, when we would go, there was always like a little row of girls. And back then, you know, all my family, I'm the only one out of all my siblings. I'm the only one that came out with blue eyes, you know, light complected skin. And all my other siblings, you know, came out with brown eyes, you know, a little bit darker colored skin, because my mom is Mexican and my dad is Mexican as well. And I guess, you know, I just really popped out to them. And there was a little row of girls that, oh, here comes the Rompecorazones, which is in Spanish is a heartbreaker. And ever since then, my dad heard it, and it stuck ever since. They've been calling me Heartbreaker since I was 6-7 years old.
And probably the most incredible part of that story is, you know, competitive boxing at 6 or 7 years old. So you've been at this literally your entire life. I mean, how old were you when you first started training?
I mean, I've been around boxing since, you know, I have pictures when I was in a ring fighting my little cousin at the age of 3, age of 4.
Wow.
I was always surrounded by, due to my older brother. You know, my older brother beats me by 7 years. So by the time I was born, my brother was already doing boxing. So obviously, as a little brother, you know, you always want to compete with your older siblings and just, you know, be in the ball of everything, be in the mix. So yeah, I mean, I would go to the gym. I would always be hyped up, and I just started training. You know, I started fighting, and I guess that's where I had that, you know, fighter mentality, that warrior spirit, and you know, it all comes down to just being wanted to fight ever since I was small.
That's really, really neat. And you're going to be trying to add another belt to that collection. As I mentioned, you're already the WBA champ. You're going for the WBC Super Bantamweight title. What would it mean for you, of course, not only to win this fight, but to grab another belt in the process?
Oh, man, it would be amazing. You know, that's literally a dream come true. It's something that I've dreamt of since I was small. And, you know, what better way than to make my 7-year-old self happy, you know. It's just big dreams. I've always been a big dreamer since I was small, and now as a 24-year-old, looking back, and I'm like, wow, I'm literally living my dreams, and I'm just so happy, so grateful for God for, you know, allowing me to embark on this beautiful journey that, you know, I call, you know, boxing. And I've always wanted to be a boxer, you know, ever since I was small. All the other kids in my classroom wanted to be astronauts, doctors, firefighter, police, but I've always wanted to be a boxer, always. And you know, now fast forward to now, and I'm days away from fighting probably the biggest fight up to date of my career. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, and we're 9 days away from that main event on Showtime, PBC. You're going to be fighting Luis Nery, and it's going to be incredible. Now, obviously, you are a very serious prize fighter. What's your take on all these like celebrity boxing things we've had recently, where like all these YouTubers keep fighting like random athletes and stuff? Are you now? And listen, I love actual boxing. I do also find some of these things to be entertaining, but as an actual professional boxer, what's your take on all these strange fights that have been going on?
I mean, as long as it's great for boxing, I mean, I don't really mind. I mean, I'm just focused on what I got to do and on my career and boxing. I mean, it is entertaining. But at the end of the day, I mean, I see it more as like a WWE type of show. And I feel like a lot of people are like fans that don't know boxing will probably get mixed up. Because even now, people always, when I go either to school for presentations for the kids, or I go take my belt, people always think that I'm a wrestler. They always ask if I'm a wrestler because, you know, I guess people are so used to seeing WWE belts and all that, and a lot of people aren't educated enough to know what a boxing belt is or what boxing even is. So I feel like there's a lot of confusion. I feel like as a professional boxer, you know, professional boxers, they just want to fight. You know, I know nowadays, you know, a lot of fighters like to self-fight. Some fighters are just like that. But, you know, me, I just like to fight. You know, I don't really like to talk. really like to get into it with my opponents. I just like to, train and fight and do what I do best, which is just go out there and give people a show.
Brandon, I'm curious, what is your walk around weight at this point, and just walk us through the next 9 days in terms of the weight cut going into this title fight.
Yeah, of course. Closing camp this Friday. I already hit 128, which is 6 pounds away from my the limit that I have to be. But I mean, I walk around like at 147. I'm 5'9". I feel like I'm getting bigger. I'm getting more of that man muscle. I'm growing, and I do definitely feel my body's growing as well. But definitely coming to this fight very, very strong. I feel probably the strongest ever in my career, and I feel like it's just due to time. I've always felt that. I've always told my dad that I've always been a late bloomer. I think I was like 4'11" in my freshman year. I think sophomore year I was like 4'11", 5 feet. And I didn't hit my growth spurt until junior year, where I hit 5'7", and finally after high school is when I hit 5'9", my full grown height. And even now I still feel like I'm growing, and my muscles are growing, and my body, and I'm just ready, to be honest. I just can't wait for Mason teams to show everyone that I'm real and that I want this really bad.
Oh, that's so cool. It's an honor to talk to you, and it's going to be a joy to watch you on May 15th on Showtime. Brandon Figueroa, thank you so much, man, and best of luck to you over the next week and a half. And it's going to be, I'd wish you luck, but I don't think you're going to need it, man. You're going to kick ass. Thank you so much.
No, yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really good stuff there. And we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to have another awesome conversation when we come back. This guy, he's a coach of champions. I mean, the work he's done with Amanda Nunes. And listen, obviously I know Tyron Woodley has fallen off, but Woodley's title reign had a lot to do with our next guest, Dean Thomas, longtime former coach at American Top Team, recently branched off to do his own thing. You know what? That's growth, man. That's growth. When you can be your own brand and you don't need to have the big gym behind you, that just goes to show you the great work that Dean Thomas is doing. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a former, very high-level professional fighter in his own right. He's a 9-time UFC veteran, and he's going to join us next. Dean Thomas is coming up after this right here on the only locally owned sports station in South Florida. We are OnSideRadio.com.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night.
Now that it's springtime, it's only getting hotter here in South Florida. Make sure your AC in your home or business is running smoothly by investing in a preventative maintenance plan from M&S Air Conditioning. And M&S is a Mitsubishi Diamond Elite contractor. When you purchase a new Mitsubishi electric mini split system, you'll get a 12-year warranty. Or install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that captures and destroys biological contaminants to improve air quality. M&S Air Conditioning have been providing prompt, honest, and reliable service for over 30 years. Schedule service or call to get more info on our preventative maintenance plans. Call 954-421-3680 or visit ac-florida.com.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You're listening to the station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnSideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world.
With Make-A-Wish, the impossible becomes possible. A girl battling cancer can become a race car driver battling the course. The boy showing all the nurses his fire trucks can take the helm of a real one. Wishes can give kids with critical illnesses the strength to keep fighting, get better, and grow up.
Where there's a wish, there's a way.
Wishes need you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Hey, it's Toast. Last year when I had PGT custom windows and doors installed in my house by B&T Windows and Doors, I knew about the hurricane protection. What I didn't know? The silence. Oh my goodness, my house is so quiet now. One of those cars goes tearing down the street with the crazy loud muffler. Yeah, I don't hear it anymore. It's unbelievable. I didn't realize how noisy my house was beforehand. You've got to get PGT Custom Windows and Doors installed in your pad today. Call B&T Windows and Doors, 954-233-0126. That's 954-233-0126.
BYB Extreme Bare Knuckle Fighting Series presents BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th at the Fair Expo Center at Tamiami Park. Meet Dada 5000. See bare knuckle brawlers fight live in BYB's patented triangle ring, the Trigon. The smallest and most confrontational ring in combat sports. Early action includes slap fights as seen on YouTube. Buy your tickets now at BYBtickets.com for BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th. Doors open at 6 p.m. BYB is proudly sponsored by BMCHam.com. Your choice for gold and silver. BMCHam.com.
When you're looking to add that extra style and protection for your home or business, visit A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie or Sunrise, where plantation shutters are a major part of our business, and they look great in any home. We have them in white, stained colors, and wood tones. We can even motorize your shutters like the one in the OnSideRadio.com studio. A Shade Above Window Fashions, 954-434-4774. That's 954-434-4774. Love the space you live in. A Shade Above Window Fashions.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that split second, her life changes forever. The toll of breast cancer is great. The need to support those who are battling the disease today is even greater. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change a lifetime. United by hope, we can end breast cancer. Join our fight. Save lives.
Welcome back to Fight Night, exclusively at OnSideRadio.com. You can connect by text at 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Let's get back to one of the best combat sports programs in the business. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports, OnSideRadio.com.
Yeah, welcome back into Fight Night. Huge thanks again to Brandon Figueroa for joining us. Alex Dono alongside James Walker. And we go out to the guest line and bring in, this guy's been a great friend for a long time. We used to call fights together back in the day. He's MMA coach to the stars, 9-time UFC veteran in his own right. He's a reality TV show star, a stand-up comic, an improv comic. I think he's done films and plays before. There's nothing this dude hasn't done. Dean Thomas joins us now here on Onside Radio. Good evening, Dean. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's so good to hear from you, man, because we don't talk enough. We don't. And it's so good to hear from you.
The last time that we had you on, it was back in January, and you were out at Fight Island. And I was really tripping out over, like, having you live from Fight Island. Like, you're in the compound there at Abu Dhabi. How many times have you been out to Fight Island at this point?
I think I've been out there 3 times.
Wow.
3 times, yeah. And it's been great every time. I should have been there 4 times, but the one time I caught COVID at this. So I'm actually quarantined right now. I'm quarantined right now in Vegas because I'm working the fights this weekend. But this was the hotel that I stayed at for 10 days when I came out to Vegas to get tested to go to Fight Island. I tested positive for COVID and had to sit in this hotel room for 12 days.
Jesus. Now, and obviously that's a very different experience for many people. Some people get really sick. Some people don't even know they have it. How are you? How did you get through that?
Man, I ate COVID for breakfast. It was nothing.
COVID was not ready for Dean Thomas. Oh, man. You know,
COVID saw me. It wanted to get up out of me as fast as it could. It was like, oh, my God. I thought, because, you know, like, I don't eat healthy. So, like, it was eating jelly beans and microwavable tacos. And it was just like, man, you ain't got nothing nutritious that we want. So it got up out of me as fast as it could.
You know, something I really wanted to ask you about, because, you know, you go to so many events and like, you know, and you encounter so many people. Have you ever encountered this weirdo, the Diego Sanchez self-awareness coach that got him cut from the UFC, Joshua Fabia? Like, I've heard so many stories about this guy. Have you ever been around him, and were you weirded out?
Have I? Did you ever see the video clip where him and Matt Serra are getting into it?
Yes.
I recorded that.
No crap. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I was so we were eating breakfast. It was on Fight Island. So me, Matt, and one of Dana's guys were eating breakfast. And he comes up and I thought he was a fan. I didn't know who he was. And he comes up and just starts talking. Next thing you know, he gets in on Matt and starts questioning Matt's character and this and that. And Matt's like, "Yo, hold on, excuse me." And as soon as he said that, I turned my camera on and started recording. and the rest is history.
Oh man.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Well, Dean, it's James Walker, the co-host, and you're not going to remember this, but we actually ran into each other. I covered Greg Hardy's first amateur fight. I think it was in Fort Pierce.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you remembering. I wasn't sure if you would. I was covering his first fight for ESPN, and you actually granted me some extra access to him to make sure I had enough time to do an interview. So I'm very grateful for that. I still remember that to this day. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
Well, it's good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you hooked up with Alex and y'all are doing things now.
Oh yeah. Alex is the best, man. We've been talking about MMA for 10 years or so, and we finally hooked up and got on the air together. But the question I had for you is in coaching Hardy, what was it like to take in such a raw talent and take that to the UFC level? Because usually, you probably have guys in the gym that have been in the gym for 5-10 years and things like that eventually get to the UFC level. But he was pretty fast-tracked, starting late, and then also just being such a raw athlete, an NFL athlete. What was that like, coaching such a raw athlete?
I mean, there were challenges, but they were all good challenges. I mean, they were all things if you were going to have problems, you want these type of problems, because he was so green and he didn't know anything. So it's man, we can start from the beginning, so that's a good problem to have. And he's so coachable, and he's used to having coaches. And so he listened very well. Mm-hmm. He learned a little differently, and I had to learn how to speak his language from more of a X's and O's perspective, because that's the way he learned from football. So I had to learn that language to be able to communicate with him. But I mean, there were challenges in terms of, because he was so good, a lot of people wanted to work with him. So if I showed him one thing, other people would show him different things, and it would kind of confuse him at times. And so that was one challenge. Then just another challenge was, what direction we wanted to go with his game, because everybody has a style. And because he didn't know anything, it was which direction do we take? How much time do we dedicate towards his striking? How much time do we dedicate towards his grappling, towards, and I had my ideas, other coaches had theirs. So it was kind of tough to really identify what we needed and kind of zero in on what we needed in order to do to make him the best he could be.
So another pupil of yours, I'm curious about Tyron Woodley, because it's obviously it's been a tough stretch for him as of late. What changed for him in recent fights, Dean, during this 4-fight winless run?
A few birthdays. When you get older, things just aren't the same. You know what I'm saying? Your perspective of the fight game is different. Your work ethic is different, and you don't realize it, but things are just different. When you're, in your early 20s, even early 30s, you're motivated and hungry, and each day you're trying to get better. And then when you are, over, I think 36, 37, you're kind of going through the motions and just man, I don't want to get hurt today. And that's kind of what your main focus is in training, is not getting hurt. And when that's your main focus in training, and everybody else is get better and kill, then you're going to start having problems. And I think that's where his biggest downfall kind of was. But I mean, and he's such a hard worker, man. He's got so many other things going on that he doesn't need to fight. So it wasn't a priority for him. So it's okay.
Was that, when you eventually decided to step away, was that kind of a realization you had? Because obviously you're a really well-rounded individual, and as it turns out, you're a really talented coach. So when you were making the decision to stop fighting, did you kind of come to that realization that, hey, I can still be part of this world, I just don't need to actually get in there anymore?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I knew I would always be a part of the game because, I had schools and I was always still working with people. And And I just knew that I had more to offer than just fighting. I've always known that. So, like, fighting was never that big of a deal for me. So, and when I had my last fight, it was in the LFA. It was called Legacy before, but it was in the LFA against Georgie Karakanyan. And I lost that fight. I lost a decision. And when I lost, I said, if I can't beat this guy, what am I fighting for? And it was no disrespect towards him, but like my goal was to get into the UFC at 145 and, you know, fight Jose Aldo and run for the title. But I said, man, if I can't pull enough, you know, gumption to beat this guy, I can't fight no more. And then at that moment, I knew it was time for me to retire, and I did, and I never looked back. And my life has never been better than it is right now.
And that's awesome. And Dean, I wanted to ask you about leg kicks. That they weren't nearly as popular when you were fighting, the low leg kicks, and now you're starting to see it. It seems like in the last 2 years or so, it become extremely popular. You saw the good side of what happened with Dustin Poirier. You saw the bad side of what happened with Chris Weidman. Just what do you make of that technique and just the evolution of it and just the popularity of it, particularly?
You know, it's funny. It's funny, like when you really break down what they're calling the calf kick. You know, it's a cheat code, and like that's what fighters are always looking for, a cheat code. You know, something that you can do that can change the course of a fight the easiest way possible, and it will, for the better or the worse, as Chris Weidman can attest to. But for the better, you can. So, you know, if you're kicking somebody in the thigh muscle is huge. It's, you know, one of the stronger muscles in your body, and it takes a while for those to accumulate to really start changing the course of a fight. But a calf kick, it takes really one or two good ones to really change somebody. It'll make them stop moving. It'll make them switch stances. It'll get them thinking about it. So, like, that's the reason why you're starting to see it a lot more. But I'll tell you this right now. I first experienced the calf kick back in 2008 when I fought Josh Neer, and I don't know if he did it on purpose or accident, but he kicked me in my calf, and I swear I thought the bone in my leg broke. I was pulling guard. I had crutches for 2 weeks. I wanted to cry. I mean, it was the worst pain ever. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen my legs, but they look like little pretzel sticks. And it crippled me. Them leg kicks, them calf kicks will cripple somebody. So that's why you see them. You see them often now. But you know what? Once people start to learn how to defend them and they start countering them, you'll see a shift in the game because everything shifts around and goes in circles.
This man is co-star of Dana White, Looking for a Fight, 9-time UFC veteran, MMA coach, also co-host of Josh Cohen and the Home Team on ESPN West Palm. And Dean, it seems like every time I talk to you, you have something coming up. Do you have like any films or any plays or any improv performances coming up? Is there anything you want to promote?
So I have a Dean Diaries coming out next week with Michael Chandler. So the UFC, for some reason, man, the UFC, they like working with me. I don't know why.
And I'm happy for you, man. I think they picked a good guy to work with.
Yep.
Me too. I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful. But so they gave me a segment that they put on their YouTube channel that's coming out next week. It's called the Dean Diaries. I don't know if you've seen it before. I did a few episodes before, but this one focuses on Mike Chandler and talks about his life, his training, and his family. So that'll be coming out next week. So look for that. It's called the Dean Diaries. It'll be on the UFC's YouTube page. And so I got that coming out. And then you can see me on the desk tomorrow night. I'll be doing the pre-show for the UFC with Karen Bryant and Alan Gerbain.
That's really cool. And make sure you follow him on Twitter as well, at Dean Thomas, and it's DIN Thomas. Dean, thank you so much, man, and have a great weekend coming up. And I know you'll be killing it on the desk this weekend as well.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks, Dean. You've been great, man.
Stuff there, man. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to wrap up the hour. When we come back, remember, we're going to talk with Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme in the 8 o'clock hour. I think that's going to be a great conversation because not only do they have a really cool event coming up, but for anyone who hasn't watched BYB Extreme before, Mike is going to describe, the rules and their trigon and the way that they do their events. And I really think people are going to realize this is something unique and it's something that I have to check out. So we're going to have a great conversation with Mike in the 8 o'clock hour. I want to talk about a really cool knockout we saw this past weekend and why sometimes the best moments come from the fights you may not even know about. Alex Dono and James Walker with you here on Onside Radio. Hey, Inter Miami CF fans, you can join us for every road game as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano. Join Big O and me. Enjoy the delicious food and incredible house drafts and giveaways. Yeah, the beer is really good. Inter Miami CF fans, your new home for every road game is Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night.
When you're looking for curtains and blinds to create a space of your own, look no further than Bandalux. Bandalux can tailor your space to your needs. Create the atmosphere and ambiance you desire. We invite you to discover it at Bandalux.com. Explore our new solar control systems, range of sustainable fabrics, and energy-efficient solutions that can improve your well-being and quality of life. Witness Bandalux Beauty. Go to Bandalux.com or follow them on Instagram at Bandalux_official. For a personal experience, A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie and Sunrise is an official Bandalux partner.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. When you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org to learn more.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
WLESPN. We've got all your sports.
We're live and local.
If you wake up early enough.
You're so bad, honey.
Tune us in, as long as you're not under a bridge.
Or under any power line.
Ain't it awful? South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant, then you need to get to Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach. Brats, Wiener Schnitzel, homemade potato pancakes, pretzels with mustard, and lots of German beer. And with daily specials, there is something for everyone. If you're up for a challenge, you should take their famous boot tour. Finish 30 boots of different varieties of German beer, and you'll receive half price on their beer for life. And you'll get to take home your own boot and Checkers Old Munchin t-shirt. They also have outdoor seating available in their new beer garden with live music, as well as carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery. So, for the finest German food and beer, get over to 2209 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Checkers Old Munchin Restaurant, or call them for reservations at 954-785-75. That's 954-785-7565. We'll see you at Zagat-rated Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
These are unprecedented times. Challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. but we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Wise across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors. But we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Fight Night continues with Alex Dono. To touch gloves, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Let's return to the show combat fans can't live without. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports. OnSideRadio.com. Here's Alex Dono.
You know, James, the best moments don't always come from the expensive pay-per-views. Right? This past Saturday night, it was a pure joy watching the light heavyweight main event on that UFC Fight Night card with Yuri Prochazka, if I'm saying that correctly. I mean, God, he's a really exciting fighter, so I feel like I need to practice his name more often. Yuri Prochazka knocks out Dominic Reyes with a sick spinning back elbow. I mean, these are the sort of clips people may not have been planning to watch that fight, but the video goes viral afterwards. You're like, God damn, I've got to get into this sport.
Yeah, and I think that was the third spinning elbow knockout in UFC history. And for Dominic Reyes, man, 3 losses in a row.
I know.
He went from undefeated on the fast track to John Jones to losing 3 straight fights. So, he has a tough comeback. Probably still be in the top 7, top 8, but he's going to need to win some fights. He's a young guy. He can come back.
And Prochazka has to be next in line or on the short list for the light heavyweight title.
Glover's up next, right?
Yep.
So, look, with John Jones out of the division, we need some excitement, some wide openness in the light heavyweight division. So why not? Why not give him a fight?
He's got a style that I really appreciate. I mean, I'm always into it when a fighter can do something a little bit different.
Yep.
And it's not to say I don't enjoy conventional stuff because I also appreciate when someone's really, really excellent at something. Like I always enjoyed watching Daniel Cormier, who's Olympic caliber wrestler, and then he fell in love with his boxing a little bit, and he got a lot better at it. I mean, there's nothing really unconventional about his boxing. But then I love watching guys with funky styles like Tony Ferguson, who is funky both in the stand-up and on the ground because he's always throwing up weird submissions, and he's really dangerous off his back. I mean, anybody who's listened to me over the years knows I've got an obsession with the Diaz brothers because they live life on the beat of a different drum, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I can look at a guy like Prochazka, and he falls into that category because his striking style is unique in that keeps his hands low, which in theory can be a little bit dangerous, but when you use your footwork in the way he does, and when your head movement is as fast as his, you can sometimes, it's got to be a really, really skilled, fast striker who can do this. And then, later on in your career, like Anderson Silva learned, maybe you can't do it late in your 30s, right? But
it was actually the comparison that I was going to bring up was Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up, not necessarily in the direct way that they strike, but just in the freedom of movement, the freedom of striking. You don't know which way they're going to attack in terms of where the punch is going to come from, where the kick's going to come from. And I don't even think Prochazka really knows until he actually does it. Like that spinning elbow, you can't plan that. That was just a field thing where he, threw it out. So that's the comparison I have there.
Yeah, like the strikes can come out anywhere. Uppercuts just out of nowhere, the spinning elbows. It was great. So up next, we'll talk about some of the upcoming fights on the schedule. And Bedlam broke out in a Mayweather versus Paul press conference today in Miami. Remember that fight's going to be at Hard Rock Stadium coming up in June, so that's going to be in our backyard. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up, and that'll include what should be an awesome conversation with Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme around 8:20. So keep it locked right here to Onside Radio. Hey, Heat and NBA fans, you can catch Ira Winderman here exclusively at OnsideRadio.com with our accurate Pembroke Pines Miami Heat reports. Catch Ira throughout the week at OnsideRadio.com and when news breaks. Basketball fans know Onside Radio is the place you get the insight you need.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night. This is the official home of Inter Miami CF.
Higuain will now take. His strike is a decent one. It's fired into the top right corner. Gonzalo Higuain opens his account for Inter Miami.
OnsideRadio.com. Follow us on social media at Onside Radio. When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Inter Miami CF fans, join us at our new home this season for all away games as we broadcast live at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. Join Big O and Alex Dano for the live pregame, halftime, and postgame shows while we watch the games. Enjoy meticulously brewed beer on site, delicious artisanal pizzas, live music, and giveaways. So, the new home for all Inter Miami road games is at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company at the Pompano City Mall, where they'll feature all the Inter Miami games. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Facebook and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing, and visit them at dangerousmindsbrewing.com.
Hey, what's up? It's Toast, and I've been telling you guys all about my buddies over at B&T Windows and Doors. And some of you said, hey, listen, Toast, I'd love to get PGT custom windows and doors installed, but funds are a little tight right now. No problem, bro. Y Green. You can finance it with B&T Windows and Doors through Y Green, so you can still get your PGT custom windows and doors installed. And yeah, you're not going to have to put anything down. It's awesome. That's the way I got mine installed. Call B&T Windows and Doors today. They'll tell you all about Y Green and how to finance your windows. 954-233-0126. That's 954-233-0126.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodyAsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody-Ass family. Dr. Moody-Ass is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyAsDental.com.
It's time for the show dedicated to combat sports. From the UFC to boxing to bare knuckle brawling, Alex Dano provides combat sports fans the insight and interviews they crave. Let's tighten those gloves and brace for the broadcast that brawls. Fight Night with Alex Dano exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
Yeah, hour number 2, Alex Dano and James Walker with you. Hour 1 flew by. We talked to a couple of great people. Now, of course, I've talked to Dean Thomas many times, so I knew he always brings it. And James, you had a great encounter with Dean a few years ago, like you mentioned. I'd never spoken with Brandon Figueroa before, but the guy was awesome.
Bring him back on when he's the double champ.
I will.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then I'm pretty sure if he wins this second belt, he's going to then have a unification bout for another title. So he might be a triple champ within like a year, which is crazy. That's one of those things like, you know, it makes it, in one sense, it's kind of exciting that, you know, so many boxing bouts are for various belts, but the whole alphabet soup thing, it gets a little bit tiring, right? Like, it's more unified belts, I think, is better. Like, IBF, WBA, WBC, Ring Magazine title. It's like we need less titles, bros, not more. Like even the UFC has had a couple of runs throughout the last 10 years where they create so many of those interim belts. Like if a champion gets like a hangnail and can't fight for 2 months, they'll create an interim title. And I never liked that either. Like an interim title, it's not a real title. Like call me when the real belt is on the line.
Yeah, it's a number one contenders bout. Those
thank you.
Titles, basically. But yeah. Boxing's gotten that direction for so long now that it's kind of numb to it. You'll see a fighter with like 8 belts that maybe only 15-0. You're like, how does he have 8 belts around his waist already? But that's just kind of how boxing is. I think the UFC has it right. They have 1 belt for each division, and they have rankings, and they usually follow the rankings. And you can debate whether the rankings are accurate and guys drop for inactivity and whether that's fair and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, a whole nother debate. But they usually follow their rankings pretty good, and I think that's why you usually have the best of the best fighting each other. I'd say 80% of the time you have the champion fighting the best fighter in the division for the for the number 1 contender, or at least the number 2, or sometimes injuries and timing doesn't work out, but you usually have the best matchups. Where in boxing, you might wait years for the top matchups to happen, and then by the time
because
they do
no one wants to fight anybody.
Yeah, they're past their prime and stuff like that, and it doesn't line up how it should. But the UFC usually gets it right, which is, I don't know if we're getting into John Jones today, but I kind of want that John Jones fight to happen now.
Oh, dude.
With Ngannou before something happens. Derek Lewis fights Ngannou. Who knows if Derek Lewis, who's capable of a knockout, he already has a win over Ngannou, and that could blow up a super fight, that should just happen. Get John Jones in the octagon now against Ngannou.
1,000%.
Yeah, that's the biggest fight to make. Why stumble over it?
Well, and who do you think wins that fight? Because this is really, really hard for me. And I know Ngannou betting favorite. He's the natural heavyweight. He's got the power. Yep. But it's just like John Jones to me. He's so intelligent, so crafty. He's got such a high fight IQ. And he's good everywhere. Like I don't know if John Jones is as good at any one specific thing as Ngannou is with his punching power. Like that's like that may be the single greatest God-given ability that he has is his punching power. Like and you and I, we watched it, we chatted about it on Clubhouse when he beat up Stipe a couple months back.
Yep.
And like I almost felt bad for Stipe because like there's nothing you could do. When Francis Ngannou starts landing those hammers, like You can't avoid them for so long. I mean, it's a little bit different in boxing when you wear the big 10-ounce gloves and like you can block some punches with your guard.
Yep.
But when you've got those ham fists of Francis Ngannou with 4-ounce gloves coming at you, like there's nothing you can do. So I guess like Ngannou's probably going to win that fight, but it's like John Jones is the greatest of all time for a reason.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with John Jones shooting his shot and losing, but I may be in the minority in this, but I don't even think the fight is relatively close. I see a knockout. I see more past the victory the path to victory for John Jones is much harder than the path to victory for Ngannou. Yeah. And to me that's going to be the difference. John Jones, really the only path I see to victory is for him to drag this thing out, get him in the 5 rounds, maybe try to take him into deep waters in round 4, round 5, but he's not going to have the strength advantage to really wrestle and take him down.
It's true.
And the longer he waits to fight him, I think the time is now. If Jones is going to win this, I think the time is now. Get him now in July. He's already on a tear. Yeah. But if you're going to wait another fight, let him fight Derek Lewis and wait another year, that's another year for Ngannou to work on his wrestling, as you saw already improved, to work on his patience, which you saw in the Stipe fight. He's going to be a better fighter a year from now than he's going to be right now in the next 3 or 4 months. So, I see Ngannou winning the fight, but I think if John Jones has a better chance to win, he better fight him now. Don't wait a year from now.
Well, and, I mean, the UFC needs to pay these guys what they're worth because it's a massive fight. Like, this is not time for Dana White to be haggling over dollars and cents. Like, whatever you pay these guys, you're still going to profit. Believe me.
Yeah, and I saw Daniel Cormier recently mention that the UFC is willing to pay, 10, 15 million, but not 30 million. Does John Jones deserve Conor McGregor money even going up for this fight? That's.
I mean, because the thing is, like, okay, for most of Conor McGregor's fight, he's the main attraction and like you're paying. But I think for this fight, you're paying for the fight. Like you're not buying this fight for either Jones or Ngannou. You're paying for Jones versus Ngannou, right? Whereas for Conor McGregor, people are usually just paying for McGregor. So I don't know. I feel like just for this fight, he should get Conor McGregor money. Maybe not for the next fight, but I think that's part of the problem for the UFC is once you open the negotiating doors, you give him a new contract, like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like once you pay him $30 million for this fight, you're gonna have to pay him that for every fight.
Yep. And what are you gonna pay Ngannou? What are you gonna pay the heavyweight champ? You know what I mean?
Point.
Like you're gonna pay
$15 million.
The challenger $30 million.
Oh
and
God,
then,
it's so rough.
You know, cheat Ngannou. Ngannou deserves a nice purse too. It's a tough fight to make. But it should be made. I mean, that's the fight that's gonna sell out huge arenas, pay-per-view records, probably.
Do that at a stadium. Like do that at Hard Rock Stadium. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't feel like the UFC doesn't respect Miami enough, and it's because they brought some shit cards down here, and they haven't filled up for crappy cards. But Miami will show up for a big event.
Yeah, it's an event town. I've seen a couple cards that have come down here. I think there was the Yoel Romero, Jacare Sosa fight that got canceled.
That was actually, that was at. I mean, it was a smaller venue. It was at the Hard Rock Live. Yeah. It was a good crowd.
Yeah, but actually, BB&T Center. It was BB&T Center.
That was empty.
But I think Romero actually got injured. And Jacare ended up fighting Hermanson.
That was and that was actually not that bad. I was at that event too. That wasn't that terrible of a crowd.
Yeah, the crowd was fine. I remember a Mighty Mouse fight here.
That was the bad one. Nobody showed up for that.
Yeah, and
that was when that was way back in like.
It was.
I think that might have been when I met you at that card. That was 2012.
Yeah,
that was not a good crowd.
Yeah, I remember that one. I just think they're afraid to come down here. You know, at this point with their big crowds. You know, but they've done Jacksonville. I could see them doing Tampa. You know, I could see them maybe Orlando.
They've had some.
They've done Orlando a few times.
They used to do. I don't know if they ever brought a pay-per-view to Orlando, but they did Fox shows when they had the Fox. So maybe they'll do like an ESPN event there, or maybe. And the crowds in Orlando were great. Like I can't knock that whatsoever. But the thing is, like, I don't know why. Like they shouldn't be afraid to bring a big event down here because look, I mean, Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul are fighting at Hard Rock Stadium, and you know the place is going to be full.
Yep.
So, I mean, the UFC, like, if they were to bring, and I'm sure they're not bringing that fight here, they're going to do it probably in Vegas or maybe at, like, the AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play or something. But if the UFC were to do John Jones versus Francis Ngannou at Hard Rock Stadium, it would be a sellout. Like, there's no question because that's the issue that people don't respect with the Miami sports fans. We're very fickle. Like, we don't show up for just anything. Yep. But if you bring a big event, we're going to come strong. And not only that, like it's not only about Miami. People want any excuse to come here. So if you bring a fight here, I mean, you could say the same thing about Vegas, of course, because if you've been to UFC events in Vegas, like 80% of the people, 90% of the people you meet there are not from Las Vegas. Like they're there because they wanted an excuse to travel to Vegas. Same thing for Miami. You bring a big pay-per-view down here, even if 80% of the people who come here from out of town or out of the country, they're still coming.
Yeah, they're still paying, still ticket sales. So that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't see Ngannou Jones coming down here, but maybe some other main event. But yeah, it has to be a big title fight, a big draw. So yeah, I don't see it happening anytime soon. It doesn't seem like Miami's on their radar. Although it does seem like, during the pandemic, with them being able to do live fights here, that they're definitely committed to Florida.
They like Florida now.
Yeah, they're definitely committed to Florida. So that's a good thing. So maybe Mayor Suarez can kind of work something out.
Yeah, like you notice, like Jacksonville became the go-to because anything goes in Jacksonville. Yeah. Like they're still even though Florida's been pretty open, like city by city, there's some restriction. Jacksonville's like, come on down, boys.
Yep.
Where Miami is like a little bit more hesitant than that. But we have May 15th. We've got the next UFC pay-per-view. I'm gonna be honest. This card, of course, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna pay for it because I'm not an illegal stream guy. I've ruined computers with that nonsense before, and you never know when they're gonna cut out. So like I'm a buy the book guy when it comes to watching these fights. This one doesn't scream $70 to me. The price tag for UFC 262 coming up next week. But it's not to say I don't like the main event. I mean, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler is a fascinating fight. I mean, Oliveira is on an 8-fight winning streak. This is for the vacant lightweight title. Oliveira, very deserving, 8-fight winning streak. I mean, he beat Tony Ferguson the last time out. And, he's going up against Michael Chandler, who actually, I was surprised that Chandler won his UFC debut. I mean, he'd won 2 straight in Bellator before he came over. I really thought Dan Hooker was going to beat him.
Dan Hooker is tough. He was having good fights leading up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael Chandler flattened him with a first-round TKO, won a Performance of the Night bonus in the process. And so, man, you can't count Chandler out because he's such a good wrestler and he's got a lot of power in his hands. But at the same time, Oliveira is so well-rounded and so creative. Like, I've seen this guy win with calf slicer submissions before. He's got a really dangerous striking game, and his length is dangerous because he's a really lanky guy with really good reach. So I'm gonna slightly favor Oliveira in this fight, but honestly, I'm a big old school Bellator fan. Like I'm not really a huge fan of what they've become, but like the old school Bellator when Chandler was beating up Eddie Alvarez, that was my jam. So I do have a soft spot for Chandler.
It's a great fight. It's a great style fight. But unfortunately, I don't think it's a fight that a lot of fringe casual UFC fans, will be into. They should be. I think it'll be an exciting fight. These are 2 exciting fighters. I favor Charles Oliveira as well. Just been on a tear. I mean, his ground game is so slick.
Oh, it's so nice.
Like him and Khabib are 2 of the best, even though Khabib's inactive now. He's retired. But
yeah, it's too bad. I love him.
Yeah, on the ground, just the transitions and everything, he's just fun to watch. He's one of the fighters that I think everyone can enjoy watching him on the ground.
Dude, I just saw like the most gnarly lightning strike out the window behind your head. Like this is crazy. And it's been sunny and beautiful for so many consecutive days.
Right.
Like we kind of knew there had to be some storms coming.
You're right. Maybe they don't like the UFC 262 card.
God, maybe they don't, or maybe they don't like all these jets that have been flying around today. So we're right by the one of the executive airport here. So I don't know if that's where they're taking off from. Maybe so, but like they seem to be practicing for the air show. Like the air show is coming up this weekend in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So like all day there have been like, I'm not a big plane guy. F-16s, is that a thing? F-18? There have been all these jets like flying around like flyover style all day because they're practicing for the air show. When we come back, we're going to talk about the upcoming BYB Extreme event. This is going to be really good. The Trigon is going to be landing in the Dade County Fairgrounds, Tamiami Park. I'm going to go to this event next week, and it's going to be awesome. Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme is going to join us when we come back here on Onside Radio. Hey, Onside Radio understands gaming is a big part of the sports landscape. That's why every day we keep you updated with some of the latest gaming news with Onside Radio's E-Minute, hosted by Toast, Kai, and Michael Christian. If you miss it, it's podcasted daily. Search Onside Radio on all platforms, subscribe, rate, and review. OnsideRadio.com, the station gamers call home.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night.
When you're looking for curtains and blinds to create a space of your own, look no further than Bandalux. Bandalux can tailor your space to your needs. Create the atmosphere and ambiance you desire. We invite you to discover it at Bandalux.com. Explore our new solar control systems, range of sustainable fabrics, and energy-efficient solutions that can improve your well-being and quality of life. Witness Bandalux Beauty. Go to Bandalux.com or follow them on Instagram at Bandalux_official. For a personal experience, A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie and Sunrise is an official Bandalux partner.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
The fighting spirit of the Marine Corps is born of battles won. Battles won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's a promise made to you for more than 2 centuries. a promise of the Marines.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
When you're tired of watching the sun damage your furniture or raise your electric bill, it's time to do what we did here at OnSideRadio.com studio. Call A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie and Sunrise. A Shade Above Window Fashions has a great selection of blackout shades to choose from. We can almost create a complete blackout for your bedroom or media room. Call them at 954-434-4774. That's 954-434-4774. Love the space you live in. A Shade Above Window Fashion.
BYB Extreme Bare Knuckle Fighting Series presents BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th at the Fair Expo Center at Tamiami Park. Meet Dada 5000. See bare knuckle brawlers fight live in BYB's patented triangle ring, the Trigon. The smallest and most confrontational ring in combat sports. Early action includes slap fights as seen on YouTube. Buy your tickets now at BYBtickets.com for BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th. Doors open at 6 p.m. BYB is proudly sponsored by BMCHam.com. Your choice for gold and silver. BMCHam.com. Welcome back to Fight Night. Exclusively at OnSideRadio.com. You can connect by text at 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Let's get back to one of the best combat sports programs in the business. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports. OnSideRadio.com.
Next Saturday, it is going down. BYB Extreme number 5. Tamiami Park. They will be stepping into the Trigon. I'm really pumped for that. I can't wait to go out there. It's nice now that, you know, people getting vaccinated, things opening up, to be able to get out to events again. And we have joining us, I've spoken to this man before in studio. It's been way too long. Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme. Mike, you know, we of course, we keep corresponding throughout the years on social media. It's been way too long since I've seen your beautiful face. Thank you for joining us here via the phone. Mike, how you been, sir?
Good, buddy. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Of course, it's our pleasure. And, you know, people need to understand what makes BYB Extreme not only so exciting, but so unique. You know, can we talk about this Trigon? Because I think it's innovative and it's important to get the fighters close together to force the action, because there's really no place to hide in the Trigon.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it all started with the backyard brawls that caught everybody's attention, the phenomenon, the pureness of combat, I guess. And what we've tried to do was take all the good stuff of all the combat sports and put it into one platform. And really the way we do that is with our Trigon ring design, and we also have the cage. Making it a triangle really creates a fighting circle. So the guys they really have to step up and fight. It's confrontational. You can't take too many steps back. So instead of fights dragging out round after round and fighters just playing points and playing the judges where anything can happen, these fights are really settled in the hands of the fighters. So we've only had 2 fights out of probably over 100 that have gone the distance in the Trigon. Wow. And that's 5 rounds. We do 3-minute rounds as well. So it's all action.
Mike, it's James Walker, co-host. Great to meet you. Alex and I were speaking earlier just about the strategic aspect of bare knuckle brawling versus fighting with gloves, and just how, you know, you might not want to throw 100% of your punch because of the risk of, you know, hurting your hand and things like that. Can you just dig into that a little deeper so fans can understand just the strategic difference between fighting with gloves and fighting bare knuckle?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, James. Thank you. Well, really, when you have a 8, 10, whatever, 12-ounce glove in your hand, you can throw a lot more punches, a lot wilder punches from different angles, and they'll connect and they'll do some damage. They'll do concussive blows. When you're fighting bare knuckle, you really have to be smart with your punches. You're throwing straight punches. You're throwing tactical punches. You're measuring your punches. Like you said, you don't want to throw unless you know you're going for a knockout, you know, and it's a tough fight, you're going to throw 100%. But usually you try to make contact and keep making contact and wear down your opponent. There's a lot of body blows and whatnot. But we also have these gloves that we developed that the knuckles are open, right? The glove goes 1 inch from the knuckles, but it reinforces the hand and the wrist, the little bones around the hand and the wrist, and the fighters are also taped. So we get very few injuries. In regular boxing, it's a lot of concussive blows. In our sport, it's more cuts, lacerations, stuff like that, which are superficial. So, the fights are shorter, the damage is superficial, and we think it's actually safer. And there is some medical data that reinforces that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like James made the comparison earlier, that it's a lot like how some football coaches say that, hey, if we were to actually remove the helmets from the NFL and college football, there'd be fewer concussions. It may sound counterintuitive, but when you think about it, Mike, the strategic difference is it's like having no gloves or different gloves like the ones you guys use, and it would lead to less concussive blows.
Absolutely. If you take the helmets off, guys aren't going to lower their heads to tackle. They're going to do different kinds of absolutely. It's really the same thing. And in an era where everything now is concussive protocol, it's NFL, kids can't head balls playing soccer and stuff like that. There's really nothing in the combat world addressing that. And we think, and the British Medical Association published an article on it. There's a doctor from the Florida Boxing Commission that's been tracking injuries in bare knuckle and comparing to boxing. There's fewer injuries, fewer concussions, fewer even hand injuries in bare knuckle than in regular boxing.
Now, Mike, explain the slap fighting element that you have in your cards. It's something as kids we used to play slap boxing, which was kind of like pretend fighting because you didn't necessarily want to punch them and start a real fight. But slap fighting is new to me, so explain that.
Well, I guess it started with the the boredness of COVID, I guess, but it took over the internet. It's been all over the place. We partnered with a biggest group out of Russia called Stone Faces. They have an app called, or a platform called stonefaces.tv. That's where we're going to be broadcasting our fight. And the slaps are really, they're interesting. I mean, what you hear the oohs and the ahs of the audience before the first slap. Just when the guy, the big Hawaiian, he's going to be on our card. He'll be on our show here on May 15th at the youth fair. When he did that first wind up, he didn't even hit the guy yet. He just brought his arm back to measure the first blow. The whole audience was just gasped. I can only imagine what went through the mind of the guy. He was about to get hit. But, I always say I'd rather get in a bare knuckle fight and do 5 rounds, or try to, than stand at a table and wait for somebody just to slap me. So it's I don't know who's braver.
No, it's such a great point. And I remember, and I guess it was like the start of the pandemic, and it's exactly like what you're saying. I can remember however long ago it was, like a year ago, a friend of mine was like, bro, have you seen this? I'm like, have I seen what? And he shows me a video of like these crazy Russian dudes slapping each other. And then like, I hadn't thought about it in a long time, Mike, but then when I heard and I saw that you guys are going to have this in the prelims of the event, I think it's fantastic because it's one thing for me watching it, somebody filmed it in Russia on YouTube versus actually seeing it in person. Like, that's going to be such a trip for me. And you're right, psychologically, knowing you're about to get slapped, I don't know what that does to a man's brain.
Like I said, I couldn't imagine. We had a guy get knocked out. Literally, he was out like a light switch, and he finally turned back on like 2 or 3 minutes later, and he stood up expecting that he was going to get. He didn't realize he had been TKO'd 2 seconds previously. But it's all the Florida Boxing Commission has been great. They've been overseeing these events. They're new to them, so they're really not combat sports. But we still have all the safety protocols and their oversight and all that. But it really is entertaining. It's a little appetizer for the bare knuckle, I guess. But, I think we're going to have some girls involved in this next slap on May 15th. There's going to be some girls fighting. And then we are bringing back, you've seen the big Hawaiian. He's all over the place. He's going to be the main event of the slap fight. So we're going to have about 5 or 6 of those, and we're going to have 10 bare knuckle fights on Saturday night, May 15th.
Mike, I was curious, where do you see the evolution of bare knuckle brawling, going 5 years from now? Just give us a little bit of your vision here, and where do you see the sport going in the foreseeable future?
Well, I mean, it really continues to evolve. We're working with different states to get it sanctioned in other territories as well. We've developed quite a relationship at the Hard Rock. Unfortunately, They're still closed because of the COVID protocols. But we should be back there hopefully in September for a subsequent event we're having. We're going to have one in July. But I do see it growing. I think, our interest in particular, we think, it's really is about entertainment. You can be a combat sports company. You can be a purist. You can be anything. But at the end of the day, you have to be entertainment. You have to entertain your audience. You have to have a fast-paced, exciting a program that keeps people's attention. In this day and age, when the smartphone, you just gravitate away from a conversation. Even a TV show, you could be loving your TV show, all of a sudden your phone and you lost the thread of the show you're watching. So we really want to have exciting content that people enjoy, events that people can get together and come to great locations. Now, like right now, anything's a great location, right? Since it's being opened up. But, the Hard Rock is fantastic to start your evening, have a great evening with BYB, and then continue on to the party, the after-hour bars and clubs and all that good stuff. So, it really is about entertainment, and that's what we're not trying to be the purest form of combat sports. We're not trying to be anything other than what we are, and that's really a lot of fun. Dada 5000 started in the backyard. It was a South Florida tradition. He dominated the scene in Perrine. I mean, you've seen the old videos. The police even let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go because it was a community event. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring community. We got some local fighters, Jomi the Archangel. We have Rene Rodriguez, White Boy, Hialeah Champ. Great cast of guys, girls from all over the country as well. So we're excited. Future's bright.
And for this event, there's actually some history there at the Miami-Dade Fairgrounds because I've been to a number of different events there over the years, Mike. I've been to a couple pro wrestling events there. I've been to a professional boxing show out there. So and I'm kind of big on that history, Mike, because I've called a lot of fights over the years at the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale. And listen, just as a building, it's kind of a dump. But knowing how much history is there always felt special to me. And there definitely is a history there at the fairgrounds. There's actually a really good spot out there. So are you guys, you're going to be in are you going to be outdoors or like inside the exposition hall?
No, it's in the Arnold Hall, the big exposition hall. There's a big food court area, and there's going to be a full bar and food, and it's going to be a lot of fun. For me, it's extra special because I grew up in that area. That's I don't know if you're familiar. It's called Westchester.
Absolutely.
I went to Columbus High School and St. Brennan's, and I grew up in that area. So it's really exciting for me to bring back an event to the area, and I hope people can come out and enjoy themselves. He who wants to wear a mask can wear a mask. He who doesn't want to wear a mask doesn't have to. We're following that kind of pattern. We're going to have a lot of fun and go from there. We'll be back there actually July 17th for another event before we open back up at the Hard Rock in September.
Dude, it's fantastic. And Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme is with us. Before we let you run, let people know where they can find you guys on the web and how they can get tickets because, this is going to be an awesome show. And I think just getting the community together and watching some live fights and some slap fights, I can't think of a better time next week.
I appreciate it. The tickets are at bybtickets.com, bybtickets.com. Our website is bybextreme.com, and all our social media is pretty much at bybextreme. So if they can follow us there, we put highlights and lead-ins, teas, and fighter introductions, a lot of stuff on social media leading up to the event. And we also have a YouTube channel, BYB Extreme, that you can sign up and subscribe. You have all our other content. We have some fights that will have over 1 million views, Christine Stanley, Knuckles, and other fighters. So there's a lot of stuff, and it just keeps growing every day.
Awesome stuff. Mike Vasquez, BYB Extreme. I'll see you guys out there next Saturday, May 15th. Thank you so much, Mike, and enjoy whatever last-minute planning and everything goes into it. Enjoy the next 9 days. We'll see you out there.
All right, guys. Thank you, James. See you out there. Bye-bye.
Love it. Really, really good stuff there from Mike Vasquez. Yeah, so when we come back, we'll talk about some of the festivities at Hard Rock Stadium today to get people set for Mayweather versus Paul. I think we all learned today if you steal Floyd Mayweather's hat, something really, really bad might happen to you. And God, I'm going to have to wait an extra month, but it's not going to be too long before I see my guy Nate Diaz back in the octagon. Fight night continues here. Alex Dono alongside James Walker. Hey, Onside Radio enters Kai's Corner with Kai Chen Chisholm every day from 10 a.m. to noon. Join Kai as he discusses the biggest stories in South Florida sports. Tune in every day, 10 a.m. to noon, for Kai's Corner on the home for South Florida Sports Talk, OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dono. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night.
Now that it's springtime, it's only getting hotter here in South Florida. Make sure your AC in your home or business is running smoothly by investing in a preventative maintenance plan from M&S Air Conditioning. And M&S is a Mitsubishi Diamond Elite contractor. When you purchase a new Mitsubishi electric mini split system, you'll get a 12-year warranty. Or install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that captures and destroys biological contaminants to improve air quality. M&S Air Conditioning have been providing prompt, honest, and reliable service for over 30 years. Schedule service or call to get more info on our preventative maintenance plans. Call 954-421-3680 or visit ac-florida.com.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
Hey, Big O, what's going on? Listen, I just was telling your guy that answered the phone, Alex, it's just a pleasure, man, to get out of work and get in your car and be able to put on the radio and hear South Florida sports and not have to listen to some bull crap about another team from another state that you can give to a rat's ass about and sit there and have to go through all this other bull crap talk to, again, never hear them talk about your team once or twice in 20 hours. It's just an honor, and I wanted to thank you, man, for starting this thing up, man. It's balls to the walls. I love it.
Onside Zone with a Big O from 12 noon to 3 p.m. every weekday on OnsideRadio.com.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodiAsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody-Ass family. Dr. Moody-Ass is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyAsDental.com.
Hey, what's up? It's Toast. May is here, which means hurricane season right around the corner. You need to get PGT custom windows and doors installed in your house so that you're fully protected when we get a big storm coming on through. For those windows, only one place to call. My buddies at B&T Windows and Doors. They've been doing it in South Florida for decades, and they will set you up with the best of the business. PGT Custom Windows and Doors. 954-233-0126. That's 954-233-0126 for B&T Windows and Doors.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Fight Night continues with Alex Dono. To touch gloves, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Let's return to the show combat fans can't live without. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports. OnSideRadio.com. Here's Alex Dono.
Yeah, welcome back into Fight Night. Alex Dono alongside James Walker, taking you up until 9 p.m. God, the weather sucks here in Fort Lauderdale right now. I'm kind of dreading like walking to my car. This is not going to be fun. Oh yeah, Abel, close the shade. That'll make the rain go away. I start talking about the weather outside. By the way, we got our man Abel here who's doing a fantastic job.
Great job.
Running everything. He's got us on YouTube. He's got us streaming. He's like an octopus. He's got 8 arms. He's doing stuff back there. But I love how I bring up how much the weather sucks. He closes our wonderful on-site radio shade, courtesy of A Shade Above Florida. But I mean, Abel, I complain about the weather. Do you think dropping the shade? Are you doing this to psychologically improve my mood? Like it's not going to make the rain go away.
One thing that I learned is out of sight, out of mind.
In practice, man, I love it. I love it. So, yeah, man, we've had 3 tremendous guests on today. Mike Vasquez from BYB Extreme was awesome. We had Dean Thomas and Brandon Figueroa in the opening hour, which was great. So, we're going to have to wait an extra month and an extra pay-per-view. You know that for 262, I was so pumped for Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards.
Likewise.
They had to push that fight back a pay-per-view due to a minor injury for Nate Diaz, so it's not something that took him out indefinitely. They just moved it from UFC 262 to UFC 263. Obviously, I have a hard time ever picking against my guy, Nate Diaz. One thing's for sure about that fight, it's going to be fun. It's going to be contested in the striking, and I can't promise you someone's getting knocked out because sometimes Diaz can outpoint people or submit people, but no matter what happens, fans are going to be entertained by that fight.
Yeah, and this was a matchup that just kind of came out of nowhere.
It really did.
Like 2 months ago, I was not thinking I don't think any MMA fans was really thinking Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz.
Well, the funny thing about it is like Nate Diaz routinely turns down every appointment every opponent offered to him because and like I kind of respect that about Nate Diaz because like he cares more about the right fight than just getting a quick payday, right? Like because most fight, and I understand it because I would be the same way because I'm trying to make money, right? I mean, so usually like the UFC calls you with a fight, you say, all right, good. How much are you gonna pay me? Let me fight. But for Diaz, it's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's the right fight for me, and I don't think you're offering to pay me enough. So he really picks his spots.
Yeah, and I don't know how he did this, but excuse me, he got this fight to be a 5-round, non-title, non-main event fight. And the criticism to that is, wow, okay, so I guess the UFC kind of makes his rules, as they go along for whoever they want.
I get that, but it's like they've been doing that for Conor McGregor for years.
Yeah, but Conor's been in main events. That's been a difference. He's never been a down the card fight to have a 5-round for main event for fight for a non-title.
Right.
Nate's not the main event, and it's not for a title. And he still got 5 rounds. He was a co-main and now moved to 263. He's going to be the 3rd fight on the card, I would assume, because there's 2 title fights with Figueroa, Moreno, and Adesanya Vettori.
Right.
So he's going to be the 3rd fight on the card, and it's going to be 5 rounds. I don't think we've ever seen that in the UFC for a non-title
Which
fight.
means, God, that pay-per-view is going to go till 2 in the morning. I'm just like, honestly, for me, like I'm going to order it, and then you can watch the replay at any time. I'm probably going to go to bed after the Diaz Edwards fight. Like that's going to be my main event. And let me catch the title fights on Sunday morning.
The people's main event.
People's main event. That's what Alwani always says. Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that. But yeah, great fight, great style fight. I wonder what the injury was. Like what injury would just cost a month? Doesn't cancel the fight, but still moves him off the card. Serious enough to move off the card.
Sprained pinky finger or something? I wonder.
My guess is a cut.
Oh, that and
he's infamous for cuts.
Yeah, he gets cut a ton. I mean, that's what he was getting whooped, but that's what ended the Masvidal fight.
Yeah, that would be my guess. He cuts easily. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any intel on that.
No, you're probably right about that.
I'm trying to think what's serious enough to move off the card, but not serious enough to cancel the fight. That would be my guess.
That's actually a good call on your part. I mean, you think about cuts. stopping fights. We remember, the infamous what ended up being Kimbo Slice losing to Seth Petrozelli. He was supposed to fight Ken Shamrock on that Elite XC card, and then in the warm-ups, Ken Shamrock suffered a cut, which is really stupid because how are you doing your last second, hitting the heavy bag in the locker? I don't know how you get cut doing that. That's incredible malpractice by whoever was working with him back in the locker room, but that ended up forcing Ken Shamrock off the card, and Seth Petrozelli got called up, and he knocked out Kimbo Slice. And then he took down an entire organization. Like the Elite XC ceased to exist after that.
I remember that, but I want to bring up something because we disagree about this.
Okay.
Why are you excited about the Adesanya Vettori fight?
Because Vettori's Italian. Well, okay. Well, first of all, I will take any excuse to watch Israel Adesanya fight. I think that dude is tremendous.
That's a fair point.
And the funny thing was, like, the first kind of big fight that he had in the UFC was the first one against Vettori. I want to say it was the main event of like a fight night show. I think it was like the main event of a free card. And so that was like the first like high profile fight that Israel Adesanya had. And to be honest, when that fight happened a few years ago, Marvin Vettori didn't seem like that great of a prospect to me. But since losing that fight, he's been on an absolute tear, and Vettori has gotten a lot better. So Adesanya is one of my probably 2 or 3 favorite fighters in the UFC right now. I will take any excuse to watch that dude fight. I'm sorry that his move up to light heavyweight didn't go well. Middleweight is clearly where he belongs. And listen, there's not too many Northern Italian fighters who have ever graced the octagon. So I give Marvin Vettori respect for that. This is honestly one of those fights where I'm going to be kind of cheering for both guys, and like I don't really care who wins or loses. I just want to have a really good fight. Like there's some fights where I go in and I'm clearly rooting for one guy or for one girl, but in this fight, like I've been a fan of Adesanya since I first became aware of him because he's so entertaining. The Last Stylebender, and like Marvin Vettori, like he's from Trento, Italy. It's really up in the mountains, like about 2 hours south of the Austrian border. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm with you on the Adesanya point. Any excuse to watch him fight. Anytime he steps in the octagon, it's an event. But man, I'm just not a Marvin Vettori guy. He bores me a bit.
A little bit, yeah. He's got that grinding sort of style.
Yeah, he's a grinder. He bores me. Tough guy, but I mean, we've seen this fight already. And yes, Vettori's gotten better, but I just still think Adesanya is leaps and bounds better than Vettori. I mean, we'll see. And 2, man, like if we're gonna do a rematch, put him in with Whitaker. Put him in with a guy who deserves it, a guy who has beaten killer after killer. Has really, Adesanya is the champ. A case could be made that Robert Whitaker's kind of cleaned out the division. As the number 1 contender. He's taken out Cannonier. He's taken out Till. Who else am I missing? Who was his most recent win?
I just watched it. It felt like about a month back.
You're talking about Vettori on a tear. I mean, Whitaker's been on a tear since losing, his championship to Adesanya, and for a round and a half of that fight, I mean, I wanted to see more. Yeah, he got finished. He got knocked out. He got clipped at the end of the first round.
Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah. I mean, he's really cleaned out the division. He's taken out so many potential contenders for Adesanya that. This is why Adesanya's fighting Vettori to begin with. I mean, Adesanya versus Till could have been an exciting matchup. Whitaker took him out. Adesanya versus Cannonier could have been an exciting matchup. Whitaker took him out. Why doesn't Whitaker get that shot?
That's a great point. He deserves it.
Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, he lost the belt, fair and square, but he's worked his way up. Usually, a former champ has to win 1 fight, maybe 2 fights, as a former champ and a number 1 contender to get that title fight. Why does Whitaker have to go through the meat grinder?
He's already gone through 3.
The entire division, and he still has to wait. And Vettori gets the shot. So maybe there was a timing element to it. Maybe Adesanya wanted to fight early because Whitaker just came off the Gastelum fight. Maybe he wanted more time or whatever. But he deserves the next shot. But that's a long-winded way of saying that I'm just not excited for that main event. One, it's the wrong guy.
I hear you.
Wrong guy in the octagon, and I'm just not a Vettori guy.
I hear you. 844-416-8123 is how you reach us. It's 844-416-8123 on the text line. We're going to have our final segment coming up, some odds and ends. Oh, I still have to get to the little mini melee at Hard Rock Stadium today. So it's going to be and I got to gauge James's excitement level for Mayweather versus Logan Paul. We'll get to that and more when we come back here on Onside Radio. Hey, Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. baseball fans can go deep into the count with Alex Aguirre and Christian Chase. Catch the show that talks Marlins and all the big stories in the major leagues. Every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., Seamheads have a new home. Listen to Deep Into the Count exclusively at OnSideRadio.com.
You're listening to Fight Night with Alex Dano. To join the show, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Make sure you punch the like button on YouTube and subscribe to the show on all platforms by searching Fight Night.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. Inter Miami CF fans, join us at our new home this season for all away games as we broadcast live at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. Join Big O and Alex Dano for the live pregame, halftime, and postgame shows while we watch the games. Enjoy meticulously brewed beer on site, delicious artisanal pizzas, live music, and giveaways. So, the new home for all Inter Miami road games is at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company at the Pompano City Mall, where they'll feature all the Inter Miami games. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Facebook and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing, and visit them at dangerousmindsbrewing.com.
Parents, we know we can't protect our kids from everything. Eventually, they're going to bump their heads or scrape their knees. But we can protect them from 6 types of cancer. HPV, or human papillomavirus, is a common preventable virus that can cause cancer later in life. The HPV vaccine prevents human papillomavirus and all the cancers it can cause. The American Cancer Society recommends getting your sons and daughters the HPV vaccine starting at age 9 to protect them later in life.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodyAsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody-Ass family. Dr. Moody-Ass is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyAsDental.com.
When you want local sports, 1260 WLESPN.
We're live and local.
Yes, what she said.
Well, it's what they wrote.
Look at it this way, honey.
Oh, no. Here we go.
At some point, this was all live, and wherever it came from, it was local there.
You get that look whenever you stretch the truth or when you need your laxative.
Ain't it awful? South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant, then you need to get to Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach. Brats, Wiener Schnitzel, homemade potato pancakes, pretzels with mustard, and lots of German beer. And with daily specials, there is something for everyone. If you're up for a challenge, you should take their famous boot tour. Finish 30 boots of different varieties of German beer, and you'll receive half price on their beer for life. And you'll get to take home your own boot and Checkers Old Munchin t-shirt. They also have outdoor seating available in their new beer garden with live music, as well as carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery. So, for the finest German food and beer, get over to 2209 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Checkers Old Munchin Restaurant, or call them for reservations at 954-785-7565. That's 954-785-7565. We'll see you at Zagat Rated Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List in the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
BYB Extreme Bare Knuckle Fighting Series presents BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th at the Fair Expo Center at Tamiami Park. Meet Dada 5000. See bare knuckle brawlers fight live in BYB's patented triangle ring, the Trigon. The smallest and most confrontational ring in combat sports. Early action includes slap bites as seen on YouTube. Buy your tickets now at BYBtickets.com for BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th. Doors open at 6 p.m. BYB is proudly sponsored by BMCHam.com. Your choice for gold and silver. BMCHam.com. Welcome back to Fight Night. Exclusively at OnSideRadio.com. You can connect by text at 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Let's get back to one of the best combat sports programs in the business. It's Fight Night on your home for combat sports. OnSideRadio.com.
It's been a really fun debut episode of Fight Night. Alex Dono and James Walker with you. And James, we can't wrap up this episode without talking about what happened today in Miami, down at Hard Rock Stadium. So, big promotional event with all the important players in place. Because June 6th at Hard Rock Stadium, Floyd Mayweather is going to be fighting Logan Paul, the YouTuber, which is like, I mean, I know it's like, it is what it is. Like, Floyd Mayweather is basically retired from actual boxing, but it's incredible to me that Logan Paul is going to be fighting Floyd Mayweather. Like, Logan Paul, who's famous from freaking YouTube, is about to fight one of the greatest boxers of all time.
But just think, what was it, 3 years ago when the McGregor Mayweather fight was being made?
Yep.
People were saying that was a sideshow, and that was
that was completely legitimate compared to this.
Exactly, that was the point I was trying to make. Just where society has gone, sports society has gone over the last 3-4 years or so, where now Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather is a thing now. So who knows? 3-4 years from now, who Mayweather will fight next?
Yeah.
With that, but I think it's just a showing of where sports society has gone. It's gonna make money.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
So,
and the stadium, is it going to be open to full capacity? I think Hard Rock. So if it is open to 68,000, I think they're going to fill it up for this. But here's the thing: you and I, we were just watching this video. So they had the press event there today, and I know this is going to confuse some people. Okay, now Floyd Mayweather is fighting Logan Paul. That's the older brother, famous YouTuber. Now, his younger brother is also a famous YouTuber and is actually a better boxer than he. Like, honestly,
I think so, yeah.
The wrong Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather because Jake Paul's a better boxer. But it's Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather. And today, Jake Paul, who was also there, got in Mayweather's face, and he ripped the hat off of Mayweather's head, which it's disrespectful, James. I mean, you don't do that to another man.
And started a brawl.
Yeah.
Mayweather obviously doesn't play that, and his security team,
the money team.
Yeah, he's always had big guards, so that took a lot of gumption to be able to do that. And look, Jake Paul, I think, has been doing a great job at self-promoting.
Yeah.
This is probably crossing the line a little bit. You don't want to get into dangerous territory.
Right.
To this degree, he got into Floyd Mayweather's face. He could have did his trash talking. I think that would have been enough. But to grab his hat, start a brawl, there were a lot of innocent bystanders there. A lot of civilians, so to speak, that are not trained fighters. A lot of media members, things like that. People could have gotten hurt. So that was a bit reckless. So I think that probably was drawing the line. But look, there's going to be millions of people that are interested in that. And if Mayweather wins, which he probably is going to win against his brother, this sets up, a potential fight against, Jake Paul, who most people think is the better boxer.
And actually, that's a great point. I'm sure they're building for that.
Yep.
And you know what? The thing is, like, Floyd Mayweather, he is such a businessman. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the day, like, he goes up to Jake and he's like, well done, bro. Like that was perfect. Like the thing is, like I know it's like it's disrespectful to rip the hat off of another dude's head like he did, but like Floyd, to me, because he said some really nasty things in the build up to fights. He's had some really nasty things said to him. Like Conor McGregor said some pretty offensive things 3 years ago to him in the build up before that pay-per-view they had. But like the thing is, like Floyd is just so overwhelmingly greedy at the end of the day that he probably only cares. Like, instead of being offended, he's like, my God, how much extra money did we just make by you ripping the hat off of my head? So he's probably not even mad.
Yeah, $50 million easy.
Yeah. You just made me $50 million extra.
Yep, just win his pocket for the next fight. And I think Floyd, just guessing, has probably wanted to get back in the ring sooner than he has, but hasn't really found the right easy opponent, the right opponent that'll sell tickets, things like that. But, look, both of these brothers, that's 2 fights lined up for him that are probably pretty easy for him to win, and he could probably make $100 million, fighting both of them.
That's such a good point. And listen, I know how this is going to go. He's going to carry Logan for a few rounds, right? Yep. Because at the end of the day, Mayweather, he's been doing this for long enough to be able to keep himself from getting hurt. Like he's going to make he's going to make Logan, I keep wanting to say Jake, he's going to make Logan kind of look like he's in the fight for a few rounds, and then Mayweather's just going to take over and hurt him. All right, so the music means it's time to say our goodbyes. Huge thanks to our guests today. Huge thanks to everyone who listened and watched us. Abel is a freaking stud. Thank you, Abel, for making everything happen. James Walker, well done, sir. I'm Alex Dono. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Welcome to OnSideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world. No station in South Florida provides more live and local sports talk.
This is like rock and roll with no music.
Follow us on social media at OnSide Radio.
ADHD. It's the child who can't pay attention or sit still in school, right? The answer may be yes. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, can be complicated, and it can last a lifetime. Living with a condition can sometimes be a challenge. It may take years to accept a formal diagnosis, and it's not always easy to find the right treatment plan. Did you know that up to 75% of children and adolescents with ADHD have at least one additional mental health condition that also requires a comprehensive approach to treatment? ADHD guidelines were recently updated to reflect the need to screen for associated disorders. Be sure to talk with your child's doctor about proper screening and visit moretoadhd.com for additional information. That's moretoadhd.com. This message has been brought to you in partnership with ADA, ACO, and CHAD.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodyOsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody-Os family. Dr. Moody-Os is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyOsDental.com.
These are unprecedented times. Challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. But we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Ys across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors. But we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
Now that it's springtime, it's only getting hotter here in South Florida. Make sure your AC in your home or business is running smoothly by investing in a preventative maintenance plan from M&S Air Conditioning. And M&S is a Mitsubishi Diamond Elite contractor. When you purchase a new Mitsubishi electric mini split system, you'll get a 12-year warranty. Or install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that captures and destroys biological contaminants to improve air quality. M&S Air Conditioning have been providing prompt, honest, and reliable service for over 30 years. Schedule service or call to get more info on our preventative maintenance plans. Call 954-421-3680 or visit ac-florida.com.
Inter Miami CF fans, join us at our new home this season for all away games as we broadcast live at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. Join Big O and Alex Dono for the live pregame, halftime, and postgame shows while we watch the games. Enjoy meticulously brewed beer on site, delicious artisanal pizzas, live music, and giveaways. So, the new home for all Inter Miami road games is at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company at the Pompano City Mall, where they'll feature all the Inter Miami games. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Facebook and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing, and visit them at dangerousmindsbrewing.com.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant, then you need to get to Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach. Brats, Wiener Schnitzel, homemade potato pancakes, pretzels with mustard, and lots of German beer. And with daily specials, there is something for everyone. If you're up for a challenge, you should take their famous boot tour. Finish 30 boots of different varieties of German beer, and you'll receive half price on their beer for life. And you'll get to take home your own boot and Checkers Old Munchin t-shirt. They also have outdoor seating available in their new beer garden with live music, as well as carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery. So, for the finest German food and beer, get over to 2209 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Checkers Old Munchin Restaurant, or call them for reservations at 954-785-7565. That's 954-785-7565. We'll see you at Zagat-rated Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach.
You're listening to OnSideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnSideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station. Time to get in the zone. The Onside Zone.
And look, man, I don't care if you're my wife. If I don't agree with you, I'm going to say it.
The Onside Zone.
I don't care how you win a championship, dude. You can draft it, you can buy it, you can trade for it. Just win, baby.
The Onside Zone.
You're not Aladdin rubbing the lamp and then Will Smith comes out and you ask him, hey, fix our dolphin problems. And there he goes. No, I'm sorry. It'd be nice if it was that easy, but it's not.
You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can connect with us at OnSideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. The Onside Zone with a big O.
All right.
2 on. Luke Weaver's pitch is driven out to left. Adam Duvall with a bomb to left field. Hit one on the money in the first and cashes in here in the second.
All right. Yes. Happens every once in a while. Third time this season, Mr. Means gets it done against Seattle for Baltimore. John Means gets the no-hitter yesterday in baseball. Marlins get a win over the D-backs. Man, that it means for when I saw that. What I was wondering, because I always wonder, like, okay, when was the last time they got a no-hitter? And it was like 1969, and it was Jim Palmer and stuff. So it's crazy, man. And the Orioles suck. They're unwatchable. Nobody cares about the Orioles. I think most people don't even know if they still exist in the league. You know, that's how bad it is overall. But nice moment for John Means, and something I'm sure he'll remember. He almost had the perfect game. Just was off just by a tad on that perfect game. But nice job there. As always, welcome aboard, folks. Marlins, by the way, got it done against the D-backs, 8-0. They go for the sweep. In fact, you know what's cool? I'm signed on to the Marlins tweets, right? And they sent out a tweet at 11:52. It says, Marlins go for the sweep versus the D-backs with Pablo Lopez on the mound. Experience it live at 6:40 p.m. tickets, and then they give you the link and all that good stuff. So if you want to go, and you should go, man, you should go support the Marlins. I said a couple weeks ago, I think they're must-see TV. I really enjoy watching the Marlins. But then again, maybe, and I get it, there's a lot of animosity towards the franchise, not necessarily Jeter and Sherman, because it's not their fault, the mess that has come from the past, and they've got a lot to prove, that they're committed to winning. Like the Panthers, they have proven over and over and over and over again that they're committed to winning, whether it's getting a great GM for a second time, getting a great coach, buying whatever players possible, extending their young guys. They do it all. They've been committed to winning, and they've put themselves in a position now that we're going to have a really interesting weekend against Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting this weekend to watch the Panthers and the Lightning tonight. It'll be nice to see the Marlins go for a sweep, dude. I mean, that's just absolutely fantastic if they can go for a sweep. And, they come back, they're 14-16 if they win tonight. And you think about all the adversity they had just gone through, with the injuries and all that stuff that really set them back. And it's nice to see some of the bats are coming around, like Anderson. Duvall, I don't know what, at least he had a home run yesterday, had 4 RBIs, all that good stuff. Miguel Rojas, which, I did not have in my starting lineup because obviously didn't have time to look at my baseball team. I got a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, so a lot of things going on. Tonight it'll be Madison Bumgarner taking on Pablo Lopez. Should be fine. I mean, yesterday 5 pitchers combined for the shutout for the Marlins. That's not normal. You know what I'm saying? What was it? Dieter, right? What was the name of the kid?
Ross Detweiler was the opener.
Detweiler was the opener. He got the first 3 innings, and then the rest rolled on. And Detweiler started it, and then they finished it. And 5 guys combined for the shutout. So that was good stuff. 13-16. Duvall with the home run, his 5th on the year. Miguel Rojas, 2 of 3. 2 RBIs, batting .271. Good night for the Marlins. That was a lot of fun to watch. I was actually, at the beginning of that game, I was actually traveling because I went yesterday to what has to be one of the best soccer bars in South Florida. Over at Stout off of Oakland Park Boulevard. I went to go meet a couple friends there. And, man, what a beautiful